Dancing yourself to death sounds more like the storyline of a really crappy horror movie. But really imagine it for just a moment. Your body completely ignoring your commands as it jerks, twists, and turns in any way that it pleases. Exhaustion setting in, your limbs agonizing in pain from the never ending movements, being bruised and bloodied as you cry out in pain, desperation setting in, and no matter how hard you will your body to stop, to just stand still for one brief moment, it won't. Imagine having to endure this for days, weeks, months, however long it takes for your body to just give up. This actually happened. Not to one person in some small town as an isolated case, but to thousands in various towns throughout roughly 300 years. Today, I'm going to introduce you to the dancing plague. Are you ready? Then take my hand, hold it tight, and let's walk into the darkness together. In July of 1518, a woman by the name of Frau Trophia felt an uncontrollable urge to dance in the middle of the streets of Strasbourg, France, after a heated argument with her husband. People around her began to watch as she danced frantically, twirling here, shaking there. It's not said what the argument with her husband was about, and I'm not exactly sure how she bypassed the whole being called a witch and being tortured part that usually comes with doing anything slightly strange in those times. But she did. In fact, Frau managed to dance for 6 whole days, barely being able to eat and only stopping when her body was taken over by sheer exhaustion and she collapsed, before the church actually stepped in and took her to a shrine that was dedicated to Saint Vitus and was located all the way up on a mountaintop. They were probably thinking that once they cured Frau, they'd put the matter to rest and that would be it for that. But that wasn't the case. A couple of days after Frau had been taken away to the mountain, 34 others had taken her place dancing in the streets, doing the exact same things as Frau. They barely ate, collapsed with exhaustion, and when they woke up, they get right back on their feet and start to dance again. The number of afflicted began to grow daily. What started as 34 became 41, 41 became 58. Day after day, the number of dancers grew until they caught the attention of the city's physicians and its authorities. After examining some of the dancers, the physicians blamed it on overheated blood, and they decided that the remedy would be to have anyone afflicted with the strange malady just dance it off. So the next thing you know, the city authorities had built a stage, hired musicians and dancers to dance with the sick, and they even hired people who were on the stronger side to hold up the sick dancers when their limbs caved in from exhaustion, so that they could continue to dance as long as possible. They thought that by following the physician's advice and encouraging the afflicted, they would eventually get over it, be cured, and go home. The opposite occurred, and by August, they had around 400 of the city's residents dancing uncontrollably. The authorities now decided that they had made a big oopsie with the encouraging situation, and quickly began to ban public dancing, music, and anything else that they felt would encourage it any farther. Eventually, the church took over again and made the survivors of the plague go up the mountain and visit the shrine, wearing red shoes that had been sprinkled with holy water and crosses painted both on the tops and soles of them. The afflicted were also told to carry small crosses in their hands, and there was also incense and Latin incantations involved. When they returned, they claimed to have been forgiven by Saint Vitus, and the plague stopped. This whole ordeal is backed by physicians' notes, local and regional chronicles, notes from the city council, and cathedral sermons. There is plenty of proof to back it up, and it's said that up to 15 people per day passed away from the dancing plague due to heart attacks or strokes. Incredibly, this isn't the only time that this happened. In June 1374, the people of Aachen, Germany began to dance uncontrollably. It was pretty much the same site as in Salzburg, but this one began to spread to towns and countries that surrounded it, like Belgium and the Netherlands. It is said the people took to the streets by the hundreds until thousands of them were dancing on the streets in a frenzy. And then, it suddenly stopped. Just like that. Just like the plague of 1518, there are dozens of reports to corroborate the events, including physicians' notes, chronicle accounts by monks and priests, and other information. These plagues came and went, starting in the 14th century and completely dying out in the 17th. So the question is, what really caused this so-called plague, right? So some believe it was good old Saint Vitus, patron saint of the epileptic, those with nervous disorders, and those with chorea, or St. Vitus dance, which is exactly what those who were part of the plague would have been diagnosed with if they had been seen by a doctor in this century. They believe St. Vitus brought the plague upon them as a punishment. Other people believe it was mass possession. Some think it was mass hysteria due to the poverty, the floods, famine, and sickness that prevailed at the time. Another idea is that it had been caused by ergot, which is a fungus that can be found in grains. It's structurally related to LSD and actually is the substance that was used to synthesize it. They basically claim that every person dancing on those streets could have been on some sort of trip, which doesn't really make sense. The difference in the crops, climate, and other things would make it difficult for ergot to be in every single place where the plague was. Not to mention, what are the odds that thousands of people, supposedly being affected by a psychoactive chemical, all happen to decide that they're just going to dance for months through pain, exhaustion, and whatever else comes their way? I really don't think we'll ever have an answer, but it's definitely fascinating to think through all the possibilities of what could have truly caused it. Let's just hope that whatever did stays buried in the medieval times and doesn't resurface nowadays. That's it for today. Let me know your thoughts on what could have possibly caused the plague. You can help my small channel grow by sharing it with others who love scary, or in today's case, weird, stories as well. And please remember to like if you liked and subscribe if you want more. Thanks. See you next time.